Blessings, beautiful beings. Thank you so much for joining me for practice today. We have a practice to help establish healthy boundaries, and that's really important. If you're practicing in real time, we are just in the start of our holiday season. I think Thanksgiving is a week almost away, so lots of family dynamics and people pleasing and things like that going on. So yoga can really help give you that discipline to set and stick to those healthy boundaries. So we're going to work through a little bit of that today. If you would like to have any props, I would recommend blocks possibly, and then a blanket or a bolster if you'd like for our final pose, or if you need a blanket to sit on. And if you don't have any of those things, it's not a huge deal. It's fine. You don't necessarily need them, but if you'd like them, you can go and grab them now. I will meet everybody on the mat, so um, come into a comfortable seat. And if you have a blanket, it doesn't necessarily have to be like a yoga blanket like this guy here. It could be any blanket, a towel even would work. I am going to throw this guy down and I'm going to sit on it, and that is going to lift my hips. Here, flip. It's going to lift my hips up a little bit, and it's a little bit nicer on the knees. So just come into a comfortable cross-legged seat. You can rest your hands on your thighs, palms up or down, doesn't really matter, whatever feels good to you in your body today. And if you'd like, you can close the eyes or soften your gaze. And we're just going to start with coming back into ourselves. If you are running around getting ready for the holidays or anything like that, or trying to balance work and holiday prep and Christmas shopping and all the things, then taking this moment for yourself is really beneficial. We have Sam joining us today on the mat, so hey, let's not do that. Let's not give everyone a show. Hey, no, you're going to do that thing. Go away. All right, so just close down the eyes. We'll take a few moments just to focus on our breath and really be present right now, not worrying about our to-do lists or future events and things like that. You can bring your attention to your nostrils, feeling the coolness of the air as you breathe in, and then feeling the warmth as you exhale. If you'd like, you can set an intention for your practice. Maybe you set an intention that you set and stick to healthy boundaries this holiday season, and even beyond this holiday season. That can also be beneficial with work. For those of you that work at a job where you're always accessible, disconnecting is very important. And setting those boundaries of this time, this is when I start and this is when I end, can also help if you're able to. We're just sitting here and breathing, taking this time for ourselves and just letting go of anything from the past, letting go of any worry about the future, any anxiety, things like that, just letting it go. Just focusing on this present moment. You've already turned on the video, so the hard part is over. And I know it can be hard to maintain your practice when everything needs to be done and just, it feels like it's never ending, but really having that discipline to come to your mat and taking that time for yourself is also a boundary that you can set. And I know people pencil things like this in and stuff like that, but I'm not one of those. I just know that I personally feel better when I move my body and when I have that boundary for myself, and I feel worse when I don't. And when I feel bad, then I'm not really of any good to anybody else because I'm tired and I'm grumpy and I'm stressed out and I'm just, I can show up much more fully and present when I take this time for myself. If you're having a hard time focusing on the breath, then a good practice that you can do is when you inhale, say in, and as you exhale, you can say out. And you can say that in your head or silently to yourself. We'll take just a couple more breaths here, and then we'll move on. When you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes, or if you just softened your gaze, you can become back present to the room around you. I'm going to see him here and get a belly rub. Alright, so we're going to warm up our neck first, and we're going to start with some neck circles. Now when you do these neck circles, you don't need to crank your head all around or throw it all around, whipping your hair and all of that. Just make the circle really small. So we'll start one way. You can make it about the size of like a, not a dinner plate, but like a, like a little plate. I think, what are those called, like a salad plate maybe? So just really small, and then you can gradually make it bigger. Remember to keep breathing as you do this. You can close your eyes if you'd like. Just warming up our neck. And let's go ahead and take it the other way. Now you can start bigger and just go in reverse and then gradually make it smaller and smaller. Until you come to a little point. And we'll stop there. You can take any other movements you like. Let's go ahead and transition onto hands and knees and warm up our spine a little bit. Okay, Sammy, you got to move. Push any dogs out of the way, get rid of bones. And if you'd like to keep your blanket, if you have one here, you can. It kind of helps to pad the knees. I'm on a hardwood floor, so the mat helps, but it's not 100%. This mat isn't very thick. So go ahead and come to all fours, knees under hip points, hands under shoulders, neck in line with the spine. And when you're ready, on your inhale, go ahead and drop your lower ribs, lift your chest, lift the tail. We're going to drop into a cow pose. Exhale, round through the spine, tuck the tail, tuck the head, cat pose. And we have the Franken monster. Inhale, cow, dropping the belly, lifting the head, lifting the tail. Exhale, rounding through the spine, dropping the head, dropping the tail. Go ahead and do a few more on your own breath. So inhaling, dropping into that cow pose. exhaling, dropping or raising up into a cat pose. And if one of those feels better to you, then take a couple breaths while you're in it. You don't have to immediately just force yourself to go in and out of it on your breathing. So if if cat pose or cow pose feels good and your chest is opening, you can stay there for a couple breaths. Or if cat pose feels good to you, rounding your spine, stay in that for a few breaths. I encourage you to really listen to your body. I know I'm squeaking this toy that I'm going to take away. We'll do just a couple more. Inhaling, lifting the chest and the tail, dropping those lower ribs to the ground, and exhaling, rounding through the spine. We're just warming everything up for our practice today. Coming back into our bodies, getting out of our heads, taking this time for ourselves. And after your next exhale, go ahead and return to a flat back. Now we're going to do something a little different here. You know, I have dogs. We're going to go into a puppy posture. So look at where your hands are, and we're going to drop our elbows to where our hands were. So you can kind of see I'm still on my knees, but my elbows are where my hands were, so directly under my shoulder. I'm going to walk my knees back, keeping my chest close to the floor. So I don't know if you've seen when puppies play, they kind of do like this little bow with their tails wagging. You're going to kind of do the same thing. Now you can keep your head lifted up, or if it's in your practice, you can lower your head towards the mat. You should feel a really nice shoulder opening here, and if any of this feels too sticky for you, or if it hurts at all, then walk your knees in and just kind of adjust. So you could be here, or walk your knees back until you feel what's right for you. And breathe. We'll take one more breath. And then when you're ready, kind of just come forward, so straight forward like you're coming into a plank, and we're going to lower our hips down to the floor. You can take any adjustments you need, and we're going to come into a Sphinx pose. So like the pyramids in Egypt, Sphinx. So legs out flat, shoulders underneath your arms, hands on parallel train tracks, looking forward, and you should feel still a nice heart opener. If you feel any crunchiness in your back, you can kind of lower down. So it's kind of like when we go into Cobra. It's going to be very similar. And just breathe here. All the squeaking. All right, when you're ready, we're going to release that. And we're going to bring our arms out to the side into a big Texas T. And you can lower your forehead to the mat. Now we're going to do something a little bit different here. So let's keep your left arm extended, and you can place your right arm on the ground just with your elbow bent, kind of close to your chest. From here, lift your right leg up and bend it at the knee, and then we're going to cross that over and just rotate to our right side. And you can keep your left ear on the mat, and you should feel, again, a nice opening in your shoulder. And we're just going to breathe here. After your next exhale, go ahead and return back to center. So bring that foot back to center, place it on the ground, and you come back to your big Texas T. Now what we do on one side, we have to do on the other. So this time, make sure your right arm is extended just straight out in that Texas T, and then bend your left arm. So your hand should be close to your chest again. We'll lift our left leg this time, and then we're going to bend at the knee and cross that over and set it behind us. So again, you should feel a nice stretch in your right pec and armpit. If this feels uncomfortable to you at all, if this hurts, then come back closer to center. You don't need to send it back all the way. Just adjust until it feels okay to you. And we're going to breathe here. We're going to be doing lots and lots of heart openers today. I don't know about you, but holidays can be really stressful. And I know sometimes when I get stressed out, I like to hunch over and really try and fold into myself, I guess would be the best way to describe it. So this kind of helps to open you back up. So you can still set boundaries and still be open. You don't have to be closed off when you're setting boundaries. All right, we'll take one more breath here. And on your next exhale, let's go ahead and return back to center. All right. This time, instead of having your arms out, go ahead and take your arms underneath your shoulder points. And then on an inhale, you can rise up to a little baby cobra. So kind of like Sphinx, but not putting our pressure in our elbows like we were before. So make sure you're looking forward. If you would like, and if it's in your practice, we're only doing one cobra today. If you'd like, you can press up into a full cobra. Again, further opening the heart. If you feel any crunchiness in your back though, lower down a little bit. And breathe. On your next exhale, go ahead and lower back down towards the mat. And then you can either come to all fours, or you can tuck your toes under. Actually, let's go ahead and come to all fours. Let's do this with some ease. So let's go ahead and push ourselves to all fours. I'm going to remove my blanket too. And get back on my mat. And hopefully not have these dogs knock me over. Alright, so when you're on all fours, go ahead and walk your hand, one hand right in front of where it is. So we don't want our hands directly under our shoulders. And then from here, really push into your thumb, your pointer finger, and your middle finger. So really push those into the mat. Tuck both toes under. If you know where we're going, you can head there. Otherwise, on an inhale, lift the knees and hover in tabletop for just a moment. And on an exhale, straighten through the knees, lift your hips up, back, and down, pushing through those hands and lowering your heels towards the floor. They do not have to hit the floor. They can be up off the floor like mine are, but you want a lot of length in your body. So in the legs and the arms, make sure you're not walking out through the knees. And breathe. Take one more inhale. And on an exhale, look forward, and we're going to step it forward. Now you can hop, step, jump, float, however you would like to get up to the top of the mat. Go ahead and do it. Keep a nice generous bend in the knees. Keep your feet as, keep them, they don't have to be close together. Keep them wide. They don't have to be as wide as the mat. Really go to where it feels good to you today. So we're going to come into this forward fold. If your hamstrings are tight, it helps to have your feet a little bit wider and more of a bend in the knee, and that's perfectly okay. This is where you can also use blocks or giant textbooks that you no longer use or anything like that, encyclopedias, things we have Google for now. You can use blocks, books, anything like that to bring the floor up to you. Make sure you're not walking out through the knees, but really listen to your body and pay attention to where it feels good for you today. On an inhale, we're going to come up halfway, keep a nice flat back, and exhale, fold forward. And breathe, just letting that your head and your neck go. You should feel a nice stretch in your hamstrings. Nice big full deep breaths. Take one more inhale. And on the exhale, slowly roll all the way up to standing. Now you can lift your shoulders up and back. You can, to really ground, we're going to come into a mountain pose, so if you need to fix your clothing, go ahead and do any of that. Really, you can stomp your feet up and down to really feel that mat underneath you and that earth, and to really ground into the floor. And then when you're ready, let's bring it to stillness, hands at our sides. You can close down the eyes if you'd like, and just really focus and balance. Really feel that earth underneath your feet supporting you. Pay attention to where your feet are, your feet is, where your feet are touching the mat. Pet Fritz. All right, on your next inhale, let's go ahead and sweep your arms up overhead, reaching for the sky. Now make sure that your arms aren't coming in towards your ears, so you want to keep your shoulders back and down here. Keep your pelvis nice and tucked, and we'll breathe. Nice volcano pose, really feeling that energy shooting up to the sky from the earth. If you're not at the top of the mat, make sure that you are at the top of the mat. We'll take one more big inhale. And on an exhale, lower your hands down, bend at the hips, and we're going to lower back down into our forward fold. Inhale, come halfway up. Exhale, lower back down to the floor. Forward fold and breathe. Now after your next exhale, go ahead and bend your knees, and then lift your heels off the floor and come down into a little ball. From here, make sure your hands are planted on the mat, and then you can kind of step back into that tabletop position that we were in earlier. So we're just going to transition back down to our mat. That was all we're going to do for standing. We have a very nice, easy, gentle practice today. All right, so from here, bring your knees as wide as the mat, big toes to touch. Look forward on your inhale, and on your exhale, send your hips back. You can walk your hands forward like we did in that puppy posture. And we're going to come into an extended child's pose. You can bring your forehead to the mat, or you could bring your forehead to a block or a blanket if you need to bring the floor up to you. You can even use your hands, but you won't get that stretch through your armpit and chest. And just take a few moments to breathe. Next inhale, go ahead and look forward, and we're going to make our way back into our tabletop position. So bring your knees back under your hip points, hands underneath your shoulders. All right, we're going to stretch out a little bit more through our back. So go ahead and let's place our left hand kind of towards the middle of our mat. Make sure your feet are nice and grounded into the floor. And on an inhale, lift your left fingertips up towards the ceiling, really reach. And on an exhale, we're going to thread the needle. So we're going to bring that left arm underneath our right arm and then come to rest on our right ear. So it's kind of similar to what we did before when we had that big Texas tea, but it's just kind of opposite. We're going the opposite way now. Make sure to keep breathing. Again, if this is too much on your knees, you can bring a blanket underneath them to kind of pad your knees a little bit. We'll take one more breath here and exhale, and then go ahead and return back to your tabletop position. We'll take just a couple breaths here. Just notice how both sides feel in your body. And when you're ready, we're going to kind of bring our right hand closer to our midline. And then let's extend our left arm up towards the ceiling. On an exhale, we'll go ahead and thread the needle, bringing this left arm underneath our right arm, bending through the right arm until our left ear reaches the mat. And then we'll just breathe. You should feel a nice stretch in the upper back body. Take one more inhale. And on an exhale, we'll push ourselves back, unravel, and come back into our tabletop position. Now from here, go ahead and come up onto your shins. Waiting for everyone to move. Can we move, please? We'll all move, I guess. All right, so you're going to be on your shins. Again, this is where if you'd like to use a blanket, you can. You can also use a block here if you would like. And then go ahead and place your, actually, let's go ahead and tuck your toes under here. So we're going to do one last heart opener before we move into our final resting pose. So take your hands and place them at the small of your back, and then bring your elbows back together. So you're really opening up your heart. And you want to make sure that your hips aren't moving back and you're not just pushing. You want to move your hips forward. So we're coming into a little bit of a modified camel. And make sure that your neck is nice in line with the spine, that you're not like pulling it forward and you're not dropping it back. So you want it nice in line with your spine. Chest up, heart open. Now if that feels good to you, you can stay there. Or if it's in your practice, you can reach back to your heels. Just make sure that your hip points are still reaching forward. Your hips are dropping back at all, then you'll want to come up a little bit. You can also untuck the toes and go into a full camel if it's in your practice, but make sure that you are pushing your hip points forward. They're not coming back. Your heart's going to be nice and open. Keep your neck in line with the spine. And from here, we'll breathe. When you're ready, you can walk your hands up, come back up to your standing or your woo. It's a very heating posture. So if you need a minute, take a minute. And you feel that energy just kind of rush through you when you come back up. And when you're ready, you can sit back on your heels and then just come to one side. All right, so we're going to move into our final resting posture. So our corpse pose, Shavasana. So from here, move any dogs out of the way. Once again, if you would like a blanket to cover up with, grab one. If you would like a bolster underneath your legs, just anything that is there to support you, go ahead and grab it. And then transition on to your back. Bring your feet as wide as the mat and really take up space on your mat if you're able to. All right. From here, you can close down your eyes. Soften your breathing. And just really feel the benefits of your practice. Those nutrients just marinate through your body. Take nice, big, full, deep breaths. I'm going to go quiet for a little bit and let you relax and rest here for a moment, but don't worry, I will keep track of the time. Your only job right now is just to relax. So for anyone that has not practiced with me before, I always pull an oracle card for every practice. And the oracle card that I pulled today was Armadillo Spirit. Set healthy boundaries. I pulled it upside down, so there's different meanings for when it's right side up or when it's upside down. So when it's upside down, there's actually a protection message. So I'm going to go ahead and just tell you what that says here. It says, this is a tricky time, as you may find yourself enmeshed with others overly concerned with how they will take it if you say no or express how you really feel? Do you feel anxious saying no to someone so you can sorry. Do you feel anxious saying no to someone even knowing the outcome will not be in your best interest? Do you feel like it's your job to stop someone from facing their challenges? Instead, you might take on their responsibilities, rescuing them instead of giving them the freedom to learn their lessons their way. Perhaps you feel that if they only knew how much you cared, they would change, and then all would be well. Armadillo spirit asks you to be honest with yourself and others, no matter how difficult that may be or how much you may fear losing someone or something. Face your fear, tell the truth, and set your boundaries. You'll be amazed at the miracles that happen when you let Armadillo spirit protect you from taking on too much, becoming a people pleaser, and losing your integrity. Another message of protection from Armadillo spirit is to relax. Live and let live. If you or someone else is being defensive, you are called to step back and trust in Spirit's plan. I think that was a great message, especially for this time of year and with family dynamics and things like that, and just kind of the state of our still intra-COVID world, I guess. If you would like to stay in Shavasana, stay as long as time allows. If you need to get back to the rest of your day, then slowly start to deepen your breath. Wiggle fingers and toes, bringing movement back into them. Go ahead and bend your bend your knees and place your feet on the mat. And when you're ready, go ahead and roll over to your favorite side. And just stay there for a moment and come into a nice little fetal position, just breathing. When you're ready, you can go ahead and push yourself up into a comfortable seat, bringing your head and neck up last. Thank you so much for spending your precious and really priceless time with me today. You know, our time is our greatest asset. So I appreciate you spending time today and spending time on yourself and taking this time out to care for yourself. Things can get difficult and hectic this time of year, or really any time. It doesn't necessarily even have to be through the holidays. Things happen all the time. But I really appreciate you practicing. If you know of others that would like this channel, please make sure to share it with them. If you have any comments, let me know below. But thank you. I am so grateful for you. Have a great rest of your day and week. Namaste.